Well, g'day everyone and welcome to Big J's Place. I'm your host, Jason Stevens. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, some of you may know that I used to play rugby league, and in the words of my mum, I was not a bad player at all. Very gracious with her words, my mum. But once I retired in 2005, I was doing the footy show and had a regular gig doing the entertainment reporting, which I loved in bits and pieces. But then when I retired, the EP of the show got moved on. And the new EP came in the following year, and I was supposed to have my contract renewed, and it never got renewed. And I was faced with a pretty hard situation because you finish football and you want to know what's next, because football's all about routine and it's all about, structure. They give it to you, really. But then when you retire, you walk into this world where it's not set for you, and you've got to make it happen. And it was quite a challenging period. And I had. Channel 9, I couldn't even get a meeting with them, to be honest with you, to try and get back in the footy show. I went from being a very regular with a contract, and it was it's a little tough period that I went through. And during that time, I was approached by a production company who was doing a pilot for an overseas company. It was a chef called Jason, and obviously my name was Jason, and the show was called Vacations with Jasons, and that's probably where we went wrong in the first place. But picture two guys in a pair of Speedos, one can cook, one can eat, and we travel the world, and that was the show. I'm very surprised it didn't get picked up. Absolutely flabbergasted it didn't get picked up. But what I did get out of it was a friendship, and that's with my next guest, and it's been 16 years, and we've been friends ever since, so I don't mind at all that the show didn't get picked up, because the main thing is that we got a friendship out of it, and I love this man. He's a very good man. He's an internationally renowned chef. Obviously, he's a TV personality who's been interviewed by Sharon Osbourne, but not only just interviewed by her, in her bed. Not many can attest to that. He's rung the NASDAQ bell in Times Square. He's an author, he's a wicked cyclist, and more. Jason Roberts, welcome to Big J's Place, mate.
Big J, Stevens, hold on.
You're looking good. They can't watch you.
I know this is a podcast, but you've always got to look your best, even through isolation, bro.
I've got to say, there's a lot of grey coming through, Jay. Is this strategic, or is it just old age? Or because you don't look old, but...
No, it just happened that way, and the more I look at it, all I can see is Mel Gibson's beard on my face. It's so weird.
I was getting the greys at 27, and that was when I started the rinse.
You did a rinse?
At 27, I just said, I've got to start, because I did blonde tips. I was doing blonde tips because these greys were coming through, and I'm like, where are these greys coming from?
Do you know what? Maybe that's why Vacations with Jason didn't get picked up.
No, I had the tips, but no one would ever know. No one would ever know, and so yeah. But no, you look well.
I feel good, man. I'm thriving at the moment. I swear to God, I'm pretty close to shaving my face and hair off anyway, because I wake up with koala bum fluff around my ears every day, and I can't really deal with that. But anyway, I put a hat on it. I feel not too bad.
You're cycling a lot. You are an expert cyclist.
I would like to think I'm an expert cyclist, Jay. I think for me, cycling sort of really got off the ground for me when my dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He started running, he ran his knees out, got into cycling, and I sort of enjoyed his process. So he I rode a bike as a kid, but he got me into cycling. And I can tell you this because I didn't know my dad till I was 18. I really felt like my dad taught me to ride a bike at the age of 34.
Wow.
No, seriously, because obviously to be on the road, you have to watch the traffic. It's different to just riding your BMX out in the bush sort of thing. But I feel like my dad taught me to ride a bike at the age of 34, which is a big thing, because it's a big way for me to connect with my father and my roots, I guess. And then that's led on, obviously, not just to managing personal health and mental health, but it's been a great way for me to connect with non-for-profits and raise money for charities that I really believe in.
You mentioned cycling. I want to talk about your dad a bit later when we get into it, but you mentioned cycling. When I was in LA a few years ago, I was at the American Film Festival, and I connected with you there, and you took me on a trip to where you bike ride.
Up in the Malibu Canyons, bro.
And then the following week, everything was gone, burnt.
Oh.
It was within a week. The exact places that you were showing me, it was beautiful.
Yeah, they were the
beautiful.
Malibu,
all
the
gone.
fires. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty savage. And then to think that it's so hard to share with anyone, probably in Australia, how devastating that was to not only that environment, to the people who were dealing with it, until we had it on our own back doorstep. At the start of this year.
Yeah,
And then you realise the devastation, the people it affects, the people who now don't have homes. It was a big loss, and I think for me to be able to spend my time in the Malibu Canyons and do that ride, because that's a place where I go to meditate. That's a place where I'll put my time and effort into it, because there's personal gain physically, but it's also my downtime. I have a real issue with focusing on one thing at a time. Cycling is that one place I can allow myself just to feel free to think and detach myself from society, the phone, everything.
But you go for hours. You're like...
I'm pretty indulgent when it comes to the bike. I sort of
do
love the shape of a shaved calf muscle, by the way. And Lycra feels good.
You mentioned regional towns here, because obviously we had the fires, and then they were encouraging people to make trips to regional town. But then, of course, with the COVID, it's like stay out now. Now stay out. It was just they've been hit every which way.
So there's so many grey areas with what we can and can't do at the moment. But I'm a big fan of some of these small houses that are down in the Shoalhaven area too. It's called Into the Wild, and these little houses, and they're sort of self-sustainable.
I did it with Sydney Weekend. We did a piece on Into the Wild. They're fantastic people who run it.
Perfect getaway.
Oh, fantastic! They're small houses basically. Yeah. They're not small. How would you describe it?
No. It's like it's not even. It's like a little shed, but it has bunks, and there's a little kitchen, it's self-sustainable.
It's upmarket. You would say it's beautiful.
It's fancy. It shoots well for Instagram. Oh, beautiful.
But they're great people who run it. They're great people.
Well, and the divide for me is because we just had those fires as well. The whole idea of going to them is to be able to light an outside campfire and cook your food outside. So it's like, don't really want to be lighting fires at the moment. But I love the smell of smoke. It evokes this nostalgia and cooking on a campfire as a kid.
Yeah, no, I've got used to the smell of smoke because my wife, she doesn't cook very well.
Where's
that come? It's burnt. It's burnt.
Can I tell you how many fire alarms now that COVID-19 is coming?
She's going to kill me, Beck.
Well, but do you have the fire alarm going off here? The amount of fire alarms I hear people going off because they're now cooking at home. They'd forget to turn that little smoke thing on above their stove thing. You turn that on, and then things go doot in my block the whole time. Learn to cook, people.
Jay, I want to get to some getting to know you type questions.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into it. Your first concert?
Mental as anything.
Mental as anything. Yeah. Wow.
Hey there,
I know. Because
they
I remember they filmed in Sans Souci, which I was born in Brighton.
Yeah.
They filmed one of the in the street, and I remember going, this is the street, and I picked it from the film clip. I go, I know this street, and I was only young, but I was walking the streets and going, that's the house, that's where they filmed, and I found out that it was true, but I picked it up just from the film clip. Fantastic.
So that was the first concert, because I was living in Queensland at the time, and the school that I was going to, we must have submitted something like, we must have got like 10,000 people signed something like a petition thing, and the winner, whoever this thing, Mental as Anything, would come to their town and play. So they played in Maryborough. That was my first concert. That was the concert. When you look at your first concert and you see someone playing, I saw the drummer go, I'm going to be a drummer. I didn't become a drummer.
So it was a free concert. It was
free. I love free.
Can you tell me one that you paid for?
One I paid for. Don't think I've ever paid for a concert.
You are friends with Pink. We'll talk about that later.
Well,
what about your first crush?
Male or female?
Well,
actually, no. My first, this is genuine. My first crush was Xanthia Johnson. Oh my God, she lives in this area. Xanthia Johnson is a girl that I went to school with in Queensland. She lives
in Cronulla.
No, in Queensland. I went to school with her.
You said she lives in this area.
She does now. Like, I've only just, because of this COVID-19, I've only just reconnected with her.
Right.
So when I was like 8 or 9, I had a crush on this girl. I even wrote her a love letter, put a pencil and a rubber and like a sharpener in it. And I said, I will love you even if you hit me over the head with a baseball bat. Now, I was very good friends with her brother Leon Johnson. And so I used to go over and stay at their house, and they lived in Utopia, like a hippie commune, right? And so anyway, I'm staying there one night, and Xanthia's mum had pulled out the letter that I'd written. She said, "Oh, you would love my daughter even if she hit you over the head with a bat. Here's a bat." Oh my God, I died. And I'm literally sitting on the side of mum and the dad's bed in the morning because we were all chatting and stuff, and I just died. But, she was my first crush.
Far out, that's funny.
But she lives around here somewhere.
Really?
In the Sutherland Shire.
Well, no doubt she'd be listening because the podcast is going gangbusters.
Huge.
It's huge. So
I'll send it to her, bro. I'll put it on Facebook.
What about your first job?
First job, it's interesting because I've always been quite resourceful. Actually, if I could say my first job was picking mushrooms, or I grew up on a farm, and so at the start of winter, mushrooms would sprout. So our local store was literally like maybe 45 minutes away. So I picked buckets and buckets of brand new little mushrooms. Not magic.
Okay.
Well, I'm magic. I'm here now. They got me here, bro. It's like a magical carpet. Here I am at Jason's house.
What about your most embarrassing moment?
Oh, man. When was my not embarrassing moment?
Apart from the Garfield sweater you're wearing at the moment.
Mate, come on. Beck loved it. Presley's going, Daddy, why don't you wear more stuff like that? Most embarrassing moment. Yeah, no, I am one embarrassment, but I like being an embarrassment.
But can you be specific? You don't know. Let's move on. Favourite movie?
Oh, it's on the tip. Oh, Stand By Me.
Oh, I love that one.
Coming of age.
Yeah,
love
it
it.
is. Stand By Me. Far out. Favourite movie? Oh, we said movie. Book?
Catcher in the Rye.
I thought you were going to plug your own books because you've written a few.
Nah, no one likes reading. I just like looking at the pictures, bro. I do like Green Eggs and Ham. Sam I am.
What about a person from history you'd love to have met?
Elvis Presley.
Oh, me too.
Right. I went to his house. I went to Graceland. Have you been to Graceland?
Yeah, I haven't been. No.
Mate.
I'd love to.
Weird as. Like, his kitchen was state of the art, like on a spaceship. There's one room that's got mirrors on the wall. There's one room that's got carpets on the walls. Like, it's so weird.
Wow.
Pretty amazing to have grown up with his music and to be in his space. Like, crazy. I would love to have met him.
I'm looking forward to the Baz Luhrmann film.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
I know. I mean, I could remember all his songs and not having heard them for 30 years, but I couldn't. I could listen to a current song over and over and over again, thousands of times, and not remember one word, but I can remember every Elvis song and word.
It's so good. And I love these films too, I've got to say.
Oh, fantastic. Clambake.
Saturday afternoon.
G.I. Blues, bro.
So good. Something you wish you were better at? Okay, a few more people have signed off the podcast.
You missed it. You just missed it. Did it drop out? I wish singing.
Fair enough. What's the biggest thing you've been nervous about?
Doing television.
The thing you did growing up that made your parents the most upset?
Being me.
Best advice.
Actually, no. Lighting matches under my bed.
Oh, really?
I got a good hiding for that one.
So we used to hide. We used to flick matches as an altar boy. There was this guy. He used to flick them at me all the time, but I couldn't get it right. I just couldn't get it right. But he used to flick matches at me.
Yeah, but you just need a good excuse when you do. I'm lighting candles so Jesus can find his way back.
Well, that was his probably motive, but I was just in survival mode. What's the best advice you've been given?
Don't put your mentor on a pedestal.
Nice.
You need to surpass them at some point.
Pet hate?
Dog poo on my shoes.
Oh, because I had Dan Ewing here, and his wife stepped in poo in the backyard. And I had to clean it.
That would be your pet hate.
I cleaned it, yeah. It took me about 20 minutes.
I ruined a friend's brand new Audi, stepping into dog poo and right into a brand new Audi in the back seat where you couldn't put your feet on the floor. Had to put them on the back seat.
Ah.
Yeah, poo.
What about your guilty pleasure?
Sleeping. I love sleeping, bro.
Do you?
Yeah, like
I've been up since 3:30.
No. I'll sleep. I'll get up at 5 in the morning, but I'll easily have like 2 o'clock.
A nap? Really?
Oh, like I won't have a 45 minute. I'll have a 2.5 nap.
Wow.
So good.
I can't do that.
So good.
I can't do it. I used to, when I was training full time, I could sometimes, justify a sleep, but I just feel guilty now if I sleep in the after. If I'm just
because you're a dude. You have responsibility.
But also, it's funny because as a writer and a producer, yeah, there's no set hours, you know what I mean? It's not 9 to 5. And you seem to be always working, to be honest with you. But I never feel like justified. Like, at least if it was 9 to 5, and I could say, okay, now I can switch. You know, sometimes my brain is just like, you never switched off because you always
have to give yourself, and it doesn't matter what a guilty pleasure it is, even if you have to be able to give yourself that time. And for me, if I need to recharge myself and I can actually shut off, I'll absolutely go and have a nap.
That's good. So good. Listen, I mean, look, people listening now, they probably haven't taken their nap, so we should thank you for that.
Sorry, well, you were saying something, bro?
What's the lesson that it's taken you the longest to learn?
The importance of listening.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one. Well, Jay, you worked in the States for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I was actually over there, and I remember turning on the TV, and I saw you on a show called The Chew.
Yeah.
Which was a really popular lunchtime sort of, not The View, but The Chew. Same network?
Same network. And so interestingly enough, so with that particular show, Gordon Elliott, who used to be on Good Morning Australia with Kerry-Anne Kennelly many years ago, he ended up in the States creating food television. So he created The Neelys, Paula Deen, and these are big household names now. I had shot a piece, I think in Curl with Gordon Elliott for a show called Door Knock Dinners some years ago, and it was well received. And he had always had me in his back pocket for doing something in the States. In 2004, 2005, I started hitting the American market, doing Good Morning America, Sharon Osbourne, Wayne Brady show. And so he reached out to me probably 2011, saying, I've got the show concept, ABC have come to me, new show. They've given me, basically, they've greenlit the idea of a food talk show. And so we're doing a casting call. We're going to fly you from Australia to New York, and then we'll see how it goes.
Oh, wow.
So flew me over, did the casting call, and I think Gordon had always wanted me in this show. Gordon creates superstars. Like, he's just created incredible shows with great talent, but he likes discovering new people too. He doesn't want to use old talent. Yeah. And so that was really cool. So pretty much got the deal. And I know you will identify with this too because of your career and things that have come and gone as well. So I've signed the deal. We've popped the champagne cork. It's being greenlit. ABC has to let go of 2 daytime dramas. I think it's All My Children and plus another one. I mean, I never really watched daytime dramas. Anyway, greenlit. Come back to Australia. So excited. Packed my bags. Oh, it's no relation. Like, just everything's set to go. I'm Peter Pan. It's good to go. And anyway, then I get the phone call from Gordon. Good news, bad news. Good news is show's picked up. We've got the date. Bad news is we don't need you.
No.
Seriously. And this happened to me throughout my career on many different shows.
That's devastating.
Well, they were spending so much money. I mean, this is $1 million production a day sort of thing. You know, there's so many people involved in this show. But you're also acting 2 daytime dramas that people have grown up with for 30 years. That's a lot of weight to hold on your shoulders. Now, I know...
But were contracts signed? Or
contracts were signed. So what they had done... So contracts were signed, but there was no point in me fighting it. Because Gordon said...
It doesn't work. It never works. And you burn your bridge with the guy and the network.
And so what Gordon had said is, look, just hang tight. It's going to happen. So interestingly enough, there were other chefs, so Michael Simon, Mario Batali. These are guys who have names in the food network in the States. So these are the guys that ended up with the deal. I happened to be probably 6 months after the show had gone to air. I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and Gordon reached out to me and said, hey, look, we just want to fly you over here. Just come and do the show as a guest on the show. And did the show. I'm cooking with Mario Batali. I'm cooking a leg of lamb. It was received really well because it's a live audience. There's a great connection. And so Gordon said, if you've got time to hang around, I would like to have a quick meeting with you. So he basically presented to me this idea of being a correspondent to the show. Sweet. So different deal. I had to be in the States. I had to be in New York at any given time. So basically they kept me on hold. So they paid me a weekly figure, which is fantastic. And they would send me to anywhere in the country to cover stories based on food and people involved in food. So I ended up holding that gig for a couple of years. But mate, there would be like a month, 2 months where I actually wouldn't work, but I was still getting paid.
Oh, that's good.
And so I was able to build social media. I was able to do a lot more non-for-profit work. So it was actually a really good deal for me. But the problem is when you're being paid to do something and you're not doing it, you start to lose a bit of interest for it. You sort of become a bit spiteful. It's like, well, I'm not doing anything. I feel like... And then you realise it's not about the money.
But I don't know if you remember the story with George Costanza from Seinfeld, and they left his character out of one episode, and he went to Jerry Seinfeld and said, if that happens again, if you don't need me for one, you don't need me for any. And because he didn't like being left on the shelf when everyone else was working, so that was just one episode.
Yeah.
So I can imagine.
So imagine doing that. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid, because I'm not connecting with people.
Yeah, and that's what you're all about. You're so good at that, Jay. I've got to say, you're so good, especially in a live atmosphere. You're very good.
And what's greater about that, Jason? This is where the full circle moment is for me. Is that, since this whole thing had started, with the coronavirus, and we had to self-isolate, I have a phone, I have Instagram, we can do live. I automatically started connecting with people, and I became consistent with doing a 4:00 live with my friend, Jenny Seal.
Yeah, right? I've been watching it. It's fantastic.
And so what we've been able to produce is something that doesn't cost money, don't earn anything from it. I realised I'm not about the money. And that's probably where a lot of the hardships come from in my past, because I haven't cared about the money. It's been more about, I just want connection with people, and then this ties back into listening. I learn so much more from listening to people, and because we get direct comments on Instagram Live, I can give direct feedback. Then becomes this real connection with people, and it's just growing and growing. So there's people tuning in from Germany, South Africa, everywhere.
But the food's your Harris Farm. It's Harris Farm. I saw that.
So
it's great quality.
So Harris Farm have jumped on board.
Well, they have. Oh, well, that's good.
Well, no, not
because every time I was watching it, going, "Geez, that's expensive to make."
But it's not, Jace.
No,
because a lot of the stuff. So I will do a shop. I'm probably spending, if I'm lucky. I mean, I've got basic pantry items like flour, salt, sugar. I mean, flour and sugar was hard to get at some point, but it's all there again now. But I probably have to spend maybe $100, $150, and probably once a week I'm only doing protein. The rest of it's vegetables. There are so many vegetables, to the point vegetables have come down in price. So if you eat seasonally, consciously, shopping doesn't have to be that expensive. One of the lives I do is using up my leftovers. Another one is using just doing a basic pasta. But I like to do something a little bit fancy too, because then it becomes part of my social media feed. Tonight, for example, I've got someone who's going to teach us how to make sourdough. So I tap into other people's talents too.
Yep.
But there are also connections like this one that are coming back, and people are feeling that power of connection that was started a long time ago.
Now, I want to digress just a little bit, because you mentioned that they flew you to New York, and I read something recently on Twitter I wanted to talk to you about, because you were involved in a scam, a very, very well crafted.
It's still going on, bro. Like that same, actually, no, it won't be going on now because of the coronavirus, because no one can fly. I know two people.
Can you tell people what is?
So obviously now through social media, people can reach out to you because you have your email or your website.
Yeah, everyone's accessible now.
Everyone's accessible.
Yep.
To the point though, management and agencies, sometimes you can bypass them now because people can get you directly, as long as you can handle your workload. Anyway, so this person who reached out to me claiming to be the assistant to Christina Ong. Christina Ong is known as the Queen of Bond Street in Singapore. She's a billionaire. So there was a letter constructed saying Christina Ong is looking to host 2 dinner parties, one in Singapore and one in Indonesia, particularly in Jakarta, and would love to jump on a conference call with you to discuss the matters. And I'm like, well, I don't have much work. This could be perfect. And they offered, I think they'd offered in the vicinity, $20,000, $30,000 just to come and visit them. Pick up all your flights and everything. You just had to pay for my flight to get there, sort of thing. So I had 3 or 4 conversations with this guy who was claiming to be the assistant.
And look, you're a savvy business. You've been around. Mate, it's not your first time at the dance. You've looked at contracts. You've had contracts with so many companies, TV stations. It's like you can smell a rat.
This is a very well organised scam. But the problem is we don't know where the scam is,
and they still don't.
No, because then
because a lot of people have been done, high profile people.
Yes, so a friend of mine who's a photographer got done. She spent $9,000 buying tickets, buying permits to shoot in Jakarta. She ended up in Jakarta. A friend of mine, Seamus in New York, also got done with the same scam. He didn't take it any further because he felt it was too rushed. So what this person does, and forgive me because I can't remember the assistant's name, but basically they get you on the back foot. They say, look, this has to be, it's so time sensitive. This is the date that we're doing it. This person was dropping names like Gordon Ramsay. It's not healthy enough for the style of food that we need. Mentioned David Thompson, who I have an association with, who's an incredible Thai chef and ran the restaurant Nam in London. Like, mentioning all the right names, all the right people, all the right locations. And what they do is they force you into a situation with the right amount of money and go, well, I could do that job. In fact, hold on, if I move a few things... And if you show any hesitation, they automatically go, "Oh no, look, we can find someone else," and you'll go, "No, I can do it," because you're looking at the money. And so timing, I could make it work. And they literally, from the conversation I had on an email, within probably 4 days, I'd booked a ticket to go to Jakarta. All right, not really knowing much. I had no face-to-face conversation. So as soon as I had said, "Hey," because I was meant to fly out that morning, I said, can we just jump on a Skype chat? I just want to have a quick chat about some of the ins and outs of how this is going to work. And then it sort of went cold, but I'd bought my ticket and I was meant to be on the flight. My accountant in the States said to me, "Oh, you should probably read this." And it basically outlines the whole scam. Now, the thing is, this goes even deeper. My friend Seamus got onto someone who's working for like some sort of federal, FBI thing, working on the scam. He had a name and a contact. Something had been written in Marie Claire. So we worked out the person who's the FBI person, another fake person. The Marie Claire article, another fake article.
Wow.
This scam just goes deeper.
Deeper and deeper.
It's bigger. Like, they keep refining it. But people are getting done. Like, I've heard of camera people who've been done for thousands of dollars. But I'm trying to work out who makes the money. Or is it just a game?
Well, I guess, because where is the money? They're not transferring money to you.
No, I'm paying...
To them, sorry. So you're not transferring it to them.
The only thing I lost was an airplane ticket to Jakarta.
Of course, yeah.
But still, that's taken up my time, a plane ticket.
You've lost, for sure. I'm just, from their end.
And you're spending the money before you've even got it.
That's...
So I hope that anyone who's listening to this, thankfully for isolation, right? No one's traveling, but I'd hate to hear that anyone got done by it, because it's not fun, certainly when you're relying on the money or you're planting seeds for future.
Oh, absolutely. And because, Jace, you're a warm-hearted guy. You give out, you've been part of No Kid Hungry for quite a while now. Is that where, because I noticed Pink liked one of your photos on Instagram. Did you meet her?
Just one, bro. You sure?
I think maybe
you should probably have another look. Hold on, shall I just show you on my Instagram right now? Shall I show you where she messages me back about
you
sourdough?
Should have said that she was your first concert, number one. So if she's listening,
because
she will be listening.
No,
there's no doubt. She's a big fan of Big Joe's Place.
Big fan, bro.
But
she's calling me.
So is that where you?
So No
Kid Hungry. Just explain a bit about.
So No Kid Hungry is a non-for-profit organisation that has come about through the necessity to feed kids in food-starved areas,
which is incredible in America, because America's it's
huge.
It's huge.
But there is enough food for everybody. The problem is just people living beyond their means and credit card debt, and then people going, when I say people, there's a lot of people who have to choose between, do I pay for electricity or gas or water before they put food on their table? Once upon a time, the problem was that you could go and get 4 burgers from $5, and it was what people were eating. Now it's like they can't even afford that, and it's something that probably we will never have to deal with. But when you can put yourself into that mindset, so imagine turning up to school, sitting in a class desk, and your teacher's, talking to you, you're trying to learn something, and you haven't got any food in your belly. Your thought is not what she's saying. It's
absolutely,
I'm so hungry, I'm staring out the window. So there's no concentration. And so the vicious cycle is, because there's no concentration, there is a lack of education, there is early pregnancies, and then it's a vicious cycle that way, because young kids are having kids who can't support, provide, don't have the skills, life skills.
It's really what you're alluding to, Jay, is the breakdown of the family unit, which is a universal problem.
Yes.
But it's when I went to America, I was just surprised at the amount of homelessness. I was deeply saddened.
Yep.
Deeply saddened that you can be in such an affluent place and that at the same time,
I think at any one point
coexist with the poorest of the poor, but their mental state, like it was unsafe in a lot of areas, which around the corner is, high-end stores and so forth. It was just, it's very sad.
And I think what's even sadder than that, Jace, is not what you see, it's what you don't see.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
the abuse, it's everything else that goes on that's tied to being, tied to being homeless. So No Kid Hungry is obviously founded upon, feeding people. But, at any one point, when I started working with it, was 1 in 5 kids was turning up to school without a breakfast or a meal in their lunchbox sort of thing. And the vicious cycle is, the breakdown in family and showing support or making money without an education. So No Kid Hungry for me eventually turned into something like Chef Cycle, where I'm raising money through, through chef friends who are peddling to raise money versus having to use their restaurant. So in the course of, say, 6 or 7 years, we raised over 9 million. And for every dollar that we raise, we connect one child to 10 meals. And we always see that as opportunity. Now, the edged sword here is, what is the quality of food that we're giving? So it's a muffin, a milk, and something like that at breakfast. But you have to start somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
They have to have something in their belly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's something that I'm tied to, and I'm very fortunate. I don't have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis, going hungry, or actually the running of this organisation. It was a seed that I planted that has grown into something so magnificent, but has created more connections for me as far as family, chefs, friends.
Tell me about family, and specifically your family with your dad. And because I was surprised I didn't know you hadn't really connected with him until 18.
Yeah, and it's funny because
what's that journey been like for you?
So I guess interesting for me, Jace, because my parents were very young when they had me. I think my mum was 17, my dad was 19. It's such an interesting phase because I have a 15-year-old son, and I'm thinking, could I imagine my son at 17 having a child?
Oh, wow.
You lose your childhood. You're automatically given a responsibility. Anyway, so I've never, I think through a phase, so my parents split at 3. We were living in New Zealand. My mum met someone else. We ended up in Queensland. So from the age of 3, I don't really know who my dad was. I never had, I guess I had a father figure, but someone I sort of feared a little bit too, because he wasn't my dad. And he was abusive, mentally, physically. I feel like my struggle was the challenge of not knowing who my dad was, but not having an identity to call dad. My mum was mum and dad. I didn't call her dad.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that strong male role model.
Yeah.
And so my role models were all women. My mother, my grandmother, my very strong Auntie Marcia, my Auntie Janina. Hence probably why I have a more of an empathetic side, a more feminine side to me. So long story short, I met my dad at 18 when he had reached out to me and said, or he'd reached out, I was actually in Japan, let's make this sound good, I was in Japan playing rugby, schoolboy team. He'd reached out to my mum and said, hey, I think it's time. Which was interesting. It's time. It was time bloody when I was born.
Oh, that's right.
That's your responsibility. That's everyone's responsibility. Anyway, he reached out to me and I jumped on a plane to come and meet him. I was super excited. I didn't know how to process. I'd never really processed what a father was. I knew that I had one. We all have one. And so I didn't know what that image was going to be like. And he was just as scared of meeting me as I was meeting him. I didn't know what to expect. I just felt, well, there's a lot of child support. Maybe you could just give to me. I'd take the money. It was more about when I met him, when I went through those airport doors, I automatically identified with family. And so to this day, I don't call him dad. I call him father.
But was there any anger you had to work through or resentment?
No, because
really?
I had an empathetic side. I think growing up with women. So
I think you can still have empathy, but
I justified it. In my head, I've justified it, and I think that's how I've decompartmentalized this whole thing.
Yeah.
I justified the fact that he was 17. Where was I when I was 17? What was I doing?
Yeah.
I was all about me. I was Peter Pan. And probably to an extent, I'm still the same person. It's funny, the apples don't fall too far from the trees. There are so many traits that I have that resemble my father too. And we have an incredible relationship now, and it's more of a mates thing, which I really like.
So you never said to Dad, well, I know you were young. I know things didn't maybe work out, but where were you? Have you ever? Because my dad left when I was young.
Yeah.
And he only reconnected when I think I was 21 or 22, about to play a grand final with St. George, like a first grade grand final against the Brisbane Broncos in 1993. I got a letter from him. And I'm like, where have you been since I was 7? And I've got a letter, and it's just like, there was anger. I got to say, there was anger, there was resentment, there was unforgiveness. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Which, you know, when I found faith, then I began the journey of reconciling that and forgiveness and stuff, which was still a journey, because it was, you know, it's a hard thing to go through, and so I'm, you know, I guess I'm encouraged by your story that you've reconnected and so forth, but I'm surprised too that it's never come up, you know. Like,
no, but it's not a loving relationship where I could just go, you know, lie down with my dad and watch a movie or something. Actually, no, probably I could, but I think, Jay. And so when I was talking about, so my stepfather, like I said, was emotionally, mentally abusive, right, to my mum. So, I mean, we all have a different story. So I feel like that my relationship with my mum was one of an understanding. I saw what she was going through. You know, when mum was out in the balcony or veranda, not being able to piece it together and maybe even crying, I was that kid. It's okay, mum. It'll be okay. So I feel like I had to step up to the plate a little bit.
But how do you think that affected you?
It's affected me to the reason I have the relationship with my father now. There are some things you can't change.
I agree.
There are things that you wish you could turn. No, but the only reason I'd want to turn back time was to change things for my mother, because I feel like I've turned out all right considering the physical and emotional abusive stuff. I wish that my mother had something different and the consistency. But I look at my mum now, and she's living on a farm, growing a garden, has a wonderful man in her life, and we have my brother, sister, I and my mother, most beautiful connection. We actually really love each other. We don't get enough time together. But so I feel like, you know, even with cycling, you know, and I felt like, I said, you know, I felt like my dad taught me to ride a bike for the first time at 34, and maybe that statement is referring to the first connection I had with my father, showing me independence.
And what are you with your son? How would you describe your parenting style?
So Hunter, I think there was
he's a good kid. He's just such a good kid.
I'm just so proud of him.
Yeah.
But I tell you what's strange, and if for any single dads who are on this, and even single mums too, there's always going to be that time and that transition where it's going to be uncomfortable, and if the other person's moved on and you don't get on, and so I did struggle for a little bit because I didn't get enough time with my son. I was living in the States. I would come back and see him, and sometimes I wasn't able to see, like, you know, Jay, you know me, and you know I had my struggles with that.
Yeah.
But can I tell you today I could walk into Hunter's mum and stepdad's place. I could make myself a sandwich. We can talk about anything in cycling. We have the most incredible united front on Hunter's parenting. But when I say that, I mean absolute kudos to Hunter's stepdad. Absolutely respect him. He's firm. He's fair. He loves Hunter just as much as I do. They have 2 other children who I love and adore too. I walk in and they giggle and stuff like this. So we just have this incredible relationship. But Jason, you have to let go of the past at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Otherwise we will never evolve.
But sometimes you got to confront the past to let go of it, I think.
I feel like, and I just actually, it was just.
I'm not saying you haven't, but I'm just saying I think it's an important, and it's all timing. It's all the right time. Yeah.
But the confronting it is walking through the door that's being offered to you.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I remember when Paul, you know, we were at church and Paulie was talking this particular time.
My brother Paul.
Brother Paulie, and he was talking about, if you want to get to know Jesus, you don't stand to the side and have a look to see if he's coming. You stand in front of him. So if you want to confront something and you want to move forward in life, you stand in front of it. And so that doorway for me that was opened, and moving forward with relationships and parenting and stuff like that, you know, it took me some time to get in front of it. But to get in front of it, Jace, and go, maybe it is me. Maybe I do need to change some things. Maybe he's a good guy. My son, it takes time to give yourself that space. But if you want to change, you have to stand in front of change and be vulnerable. Lean into your vulnerabilities.
It's so true, because there's a saying that says that it's not experience that helps you grow in wisdom. It's only evaluated experience when you actually sit and think of your actions,
Yeah.
think of decisions, think of your reactions and stuff. So so it's
When you're confronted, right, with any opportunity through growing on whatever level, what's the least can happen? You're either going to win or you're going to learn.
absolutely, that's right. Now, Jay, we've got very deep. I love I've got to say, I've enjoyed talking to you. We could talk a lot longer, but
Should we talk about that time you wanted to do weights in your bedroom? Probably not.
I did give Jason the shock of his life one day. I didn't know you were coming in, but I was complete starkers. And I called you. That's right, I did call you. And I was there doing weights in the nude. That's just... Any young people switch off now.
Imagine a Greek god, but different.
Very different. I did that to Daniel McPherson once.
That's why we're good mates now. We go to therapy together.
The door was open in his house, and I heard the shower. And I'm like... So I'm stripped down naked. This is terrible. Why am I telling him? But anyway, I stripped down naked. I creeped in soft, and he's singing in the shower. He's got a very good voice, great voice, and grabbed him from behind like an axe murderer, and the squeal like a baby who hasn't had its milk. It was.
I'm glad I just got weightlifting.
The poor guy. I don't think he's recovered. He has not been the same. That man. He has not been the same.
Oh, I hope he gets you back.
Hey Jay, just to close, I'm going to tell a story. Now you're going to decide whether it's true or false, and then we'll get back to you and you tell us a story.
Yep.
Okay. Well, my first one was I was 12 years old. I got a job as the paddle pop lion in Westfields at Hurstville. Well, no, I had to wear a suit, and I got in the suit, and anyhow, I was handing out free paddle pops, and there was a girl I saw who I'd really liked from another school. Anyhow, I was giving her paddle pops, gave her family paddle pops to the dad. He was chuffed. They don't know who it is. It's this young kid. Anyhow, she's hanging around with me the whole time. I'm talking 3-4 hours. I had to do it. I'm sweating like a pig in there.
Yeah.
But she's talking to me. We're getting along great, and then the time came for me to take off the mask, the paddle pop lion mask, and I was a big kid, Jay. I'm sweating and a big kid. I took it off, and she said, "Okay, bye now," and just walked out of my life. I have not spoke to her since.
That's false, bro.
That is true.
No,
100% true. I know the girl's name, and I will not say it. But
say that name. You say that name. Shame that name.
I was broken.
Look at her now, bro.
I was a broken man.
She's the paddle pop lion now, bro. She's giving out sticks. Jeez.
I just couldn't believe when I took it. I mean, look, I was big. I was a very big kid, but I was just like, we're getting along so good. And I was like, oh my gosh.
You weren't that big, bro.
No, I was. Oh, I was. But that's all right. But yeah, what's your story?
So restaurant background sort of thing. So what was really cool, working at Bistro Moncur, because we were a two-hat restaurant. So remember the Matrix?
I do.
Can't forget it. So Keanu Reeves become quite a fan of the restaurant, and he would come in. He would always order his steak medium every time. So he used to come in, and there would always be different directors, and there'd be other actors who would come in, sort of thing. So I actually started collecting because we had linen. I still, to this day, have the linen napkin cloths he wiped his face on after his steak. Because
I know you, and you're out there considerably. The shirt that you're wearing is a Garfield one that I don't want to describe to people. I'm going to say that's true.
It's true, Jace.
It's true.
I have them.
Have you really still got it?
Yeah, with smears of butter. Like, it's going to be worth something one day. It's like having a piece of Elvis Presley's hair.
Keanu Reeves, Elvis. I could see it. I could see it. He's good. I like him.
I'd sell him to you, bro.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. I've probably got 12 of them.
If you sell them to me, you can help pay for the scam that you...
I'm just going to go home and get a few more napkins and wipe my face on them.
Jay, thanks so much for coming on. So how do people catch you if it's 4 o'clock every afternoon?
They probably won't catch me because I'm pretty fast. I haven't run the Sandhills for quite some time, but if you really want to come and follow along with what I do, check out Chef Jason Roberts on Instagram, Facebook.
And it's a 4 o'clock. Is it every day you're doing the meals?
Yeah, every day. So Monday to Saturday. And I have another show at the moment as well. You should come and check out. It's called Jay's Place. because my name's Jason too. Actually, you know when we were initially going to do this, so remember when we did this thing, Vacations with Jasons, and there's this picture of look how strong we were. I was wearing a cowboy hat. We were Brokeback Mountain before Brokeback Mountain. I was seriously, when you were going to come over, I was going to go to Officeworks and print up a big picture, and put it behind us on the wall. So when we were talking, you could see oh, look at us when we were younger, bro. I actually reckon.
We looked all right. We did.
I reckon, Jay, seriously, I reckon we could pitch Vacations with Jasons again. I think
we could pitch it, but no one would take it. No one would take it. That's the issue.
We can
pitch as much
dollar
as we
bet, bro. A dollar bet we can make something happen from this. I'm going to make it happen.
Oh, Jay, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, Big Jay.
Lots of love.
Love you, bro.